Namaste. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining in for another joyful evening. Well, joyful, maybe not necessarily this episode of the Ramayana. But it's a very important part that I'm going to read out to you tonight. Yesterday evening, I I finished with the part where Rama, Sita, and Lakshman were staying at Panchavati in the forest, deep in the forest, and there they were harassed by Ravana's sister. Ravana, the demon king, and his sister came by and she fancied Rama and she threatened to kill Sita, so they sliced off like part of her ears and nose and sent her away. And then she returned with a whole army of thousands and thousands of Rakshasas, demons, and they were all killed single-handedly by Rama. So this is where we ended yesterday, and tonight I'm gonna continue there. The only one who managed to escape Rama's arrows was a Rakshasa called Akampana. Seeing that it was a lost cause, he had hidden himself behind a tree and watched all of his friends die. At last, he returned quickly to Ravana's capital on the island of Lanka and reported the whole matter. The Rakshasa king could not believe that his best commanders had been killed and his entire army wiped out by one single individual. Ravana glared at him and roared, "I spell death to death himself, and my wrath can burn up even Agni, the god of fire. Name the person who has dared to defy me." Akampana shivered with fear and stammered, "There was no army, Your Majesty. It was one single individual who killed the entire army, and his name is Rama. He is the son of King Dasarath. He and his wife and brother have been exiled and are now living in the forest at Panchavati. He is dark and handsome and is as strong as a lion." Akampana said, "Rama can destroy this universe and create a new one if he wants. You will never be able to beat him in a fair combat, but I can tell you of a means by which you can defeat him. He has a wife called Sita, whom he loves dearly. She is his weak point. Her beauty is unparalleled in all the three worlds. She's the daughter of King Janaka. I suggest that you go to Dandaka and abduct her. If she is lost, Rama will not be able to live. This is the only way you can destroy him." Ravana's eyes gleamed with green fire. "Your idea is very good, O Akampana," he said. "I will go to the forest of Dandaka tomorrow and capture this beauty for myself. Let me add another jewel to my collection." Ravana called for his golden aerial chariot and went to the ashram of Maricha, whom Rama had met in his very first battle, when he went to save the sage Vishvamitra. Maricha had now become an ascetic and was living a simple life at a place called Gokarna. He was honored that the king had come to visit him. Ravana did not waste time in idle talk. He came straight to the point. "My dear uncle," he said, "did you hear that the entire Rakshasa encampment at Janasthana has been totally wiped out? It was wiped out by a mere man called Rama." At the name of Rama, Maricha trembled like a leaf and began to perspire. Ravana pretended not to notice, saying, "Evidently, Rama possesses some sort of extraordinary powers, or else this could not have happened. I hear that his wife Sita is amazingly beautiful. I wish to capture her, and for that I need your help. That is the only way to punish Rama." Maricha said, "My lord, it is clear that someone wishes to see your downfall. The person who has suggested this to you is indeed your great enemy. Trying to steal Sita from Rama is like trying to extract a poisonous tooth from the mouth of a cobra. Please don't attempt this foolish thing. I'm old enough to give you advice, and I have nothing to gain or lose from you. So listen to me and leave Sita alone. Let them live happily in the forest. Be content with your own wives. Do not lust after another man's wife." Ravana valued the advice of Maricha and decided to give up his plan and return to Lanka. The next day, when Ravana was sitting on his golden throne, Surpanekha, his sister, rushed in. Surpanekha stood before Ravana and started howling like a mad dog about her bad luck. The story she told was totally different from actual fact. "What sort of a king are you?" she shouted. "You sit here indulging in wine and women. Don't you know that your outpost at Janasthana has been wiped out by a mere man called Rama?" Ravana let her rant and rave for some time. Then he interrupted her. "Who is this Rama?" "Rama," she said, "is the son of King Dasarat of Ayodhya. He has a brother called Lakshman, who is completely devoted to him. He also has a wife called Sita, a woman whose beauty is beyond compare. He loves her very much, and she is devoted to him. She is one of the most captivating figures that I have ever seen. There is no woman to equal her in all the three worlds. Seeing her, I thought that she would make a perfect mate for you. I tried to capture her and bring her to you as my gift, and this is what Lakshman did to me. If you have any compassion for me, if you want to avenge the death of your people at Janasthana, if you want to own that beauty for yourself, then go immediately and kill those two and capture her for yourself." Ravana pondered his sister's words. He knew that Rama would be no match for him, but his heart beat fast at the thought of getting Sita for himself. At last, his lust overcame his caution, and he went again to Maricha's ashram. Maricha saw him coming. What has brought you once again to this humble abode, my lord? Ravana replied, Uncle, you are the only one who can help me now. My sister has pointed out that Sita is Rama's weak point. If I capture her, he is as good as dead. Now, this is where you come in. I want you to take the form of a golden deer and go near Rama's ashram. You should frisk and frolic in front of Sita, so that she will ask Rama to catch the deer for her. You should then lead him far away from the ashram so that Sita will be left alone. Then I will go and capture her. What do you think of my plan? Marija shivered at the thought of invoking Rama's wrath. His mouth had gone dry and he could hardly speak. At last he stammered, Rama is full of noble qualities. He is more powerful than Indra and Kubera. His wrath will surely fall on your head if you steal Sita. She is dearer to him than life. She will surely be the cause of your death. You are now the happy and powerful emperor of the Rakshasas. If you want it to last, let Rama alone. You have many women, all equally beautiful. Why should you lust after another man's wife? If you persist in this foolish plan, both of us will surely die. I'm sure Surpanekha must have instigated Rama's wrath. By listening to her lies, you will also come to a bad end. But Ravana had made up his mind to go on with his suicidal plan. Fate was beckoning him to his approaching doom. In an angry voice he said, Maricha, I don't need any advice from you about what I should do. All I want is obedience. Go immediately to Rama's ashram in the form of a golden deer and entice him deep into the forest. If Lakshman remains behind to guard Sita, you should imitate Rama's voice and cry in a loud voice. Sita will be frightened and send Lakshman after Rama. At that time, I will enter the hermitage and capture her. Maricha realized that there was no way out. He knew he was doomed to die either way. So he thought to himself that it was better to die at Rama's hands than at the hands of this wicked nephew of his. He said sorrowfully, Ravana, I see that we are both doomed. If you capture Sita, remember, you will be capturing death in your arms. Ravana scarcely heard what he said. Come, let us go, he said. I will drop you near the ashram so that no time will be lost. He took Maricha in his aerial vehicle, drawn by the magic asses, and they soon came to Rama's ashram. The chariot landed, and Ravana told Maricha to make haste and change his form. The next chapter is called The Golden Deer. Maricha changed himself into a most captivating deer. Its hair was golden in color, with spots which looked like silver and glistened in the sun. Its neck was long and curved, and it had a tantalizing way of tilting its head at an angle and gazing sideways through its beautiful eyes. It appeared suddenly on the lawn in front of the ashram and danced around, giving long looks in Sita's direction. At times it would stop and pretend to be nibbling at the grass. The other deer, which were grazing nearby, sensed that this was no ordinary deer and ran away in panic. In his old days, Maricha would have loved to eat one of them. He kept looking at the ashram, for Sita was not outside. Just then, she came out to gather flowers for their morning worship. The deer came close to her and stood still with bent head as if grazing. The morning sun fell in golden shafts on its skin and brought it flaming to life. Sita stood absolutely still when she saw it. She couldn't believe her eyes. She had never seen such a fascinating creature in all her days in the forest. She couldn't tear her gaze away from the little deer, who took care to see that it was always within her gaze. She ran forward to try and catch it, but it avoided her grasp and skipped off and stood just a few feet in front of her. Again and again she tried to grasp it, but it skillfully avoided her. She chased it around and around the lawn, forgetting the flowers she had come to pluck. At last, she called out to Rama and Lakshman. Both of them came running out of the house. Raising her charming face to him, she said, "Rama, please capture this deer for me. Look how beautiful he is. I've never seen anything like it. I must have him for myself. Please catch him for me. I'm sure you can do it." Lakshman peered closely at the deer and said, "Brother, I'm sure this is not a deer. This must be our old friend Maricha in disguise. Remember how clever he was? No ordinary deer could be so extraordinarily beautiful." Rama looked at Sita's excitement and was moved. He had never seen her so excited. He could deny her nothing. Moreover, there was no doubt about it. The deer was indeed enchanting. He looked at her tenderly and said, "My love, I shall surely capture this deer for you if that is your wish." Then, turning to Lakshman, he said, "I think that your suspicions are correct, and this deer could well be a Rakshasa. But even so, whatever it is, I must chase it, for Sita wants it, and I can deny her nothing. I will be back soon. Please stay with Sita. Do not leave her even for a single moment. Be on the lookout for danger. I can sense danger. It is close by. I feel that some crisis is about to happen in our lives. Guard Sita with your life, and I will return with the deer, dead or alive." He strapped his sword to his waist and took up his bow and quiver. He turned to smile reassuringly at Sita. She looked adoringly at him. She was sure that her beloved Rama would get the deer for her. As he reached the edge of the forest, he turned around once again to look at her. It was the last time he was ever to see her so happy. Her wide-eyed, excited look and enchanting smile was to haunt him for many months before he saw her again. Rama turned towards the deer. It was just in front of him. He followed casually, but looked around for any danger, for he could sense it close by. Ravana's aerial vehicle was well hidden, and he could not see it. Now the deer seemed to be playing some sort of game with Rama. It would come almost within his grasp and then dance away with a naughty look, as if to say, "Catch me if you can." Rama began to get impatient and also to worry a little, for the day was wearing on and the deer seemed to have some deliberate campaign to lure him deeper and deeper into the forest. Like the moon playing hide and seek between the clouds, the deer would appear for some time in front of his gaze and then disappear within the forest. Rama realized that he had come a long way from the ashram. He also realized that this was no ordinary deer, but a Rakshasa, just as Lakshman had suspected. He stood still for a while, and it suddenly appeared before him. He rushed towards it, and the animal fled. This was the end. He decided to kill it, since it seemed impossible to capture it. Fixing an arrow to his bow, he let it fly. The arrow entered the body of the animal and split it in two. Maricha howled and fell to the ground. As he fell, he regained his hideous Rakshasic form. So Lakshman was right, thought Rama, and this is indeed the wicked Maricha. His life was ebbing away fast, and with his last breath, Maricha let out a cry. Imitating Rama's voice perfectly, he called out loudly, "Ah, Sita! Ah, Lakshman!" Rama was deeply disturbed when he heard that cry, imitating his voice. He realized that the whole enterprise had been a trick to lure him away from the ashram, and now this cry was no doubt to bring Lakshman to his aid. All of a sudden, he was terribly frightened. He feared for the safety of his beloved. What if some harm should come to her? Of course, he could depend on Lakshman to guard her with his life, but this cry was most disturbing. He knew that Sita would be distraught with grief when she heard it, and perhaps she might even believe that he was in danger. Rama started to run back as fast as he could, but he was a long, long way from the hermitage. Far away in the ashram, Sita heard that piteous call for help. She froze with fright. She was sure that it was her beloved and that Rama was in great danger. She turned to Lakshman with an agonized look, saying, "Did you hear that call?" Rama is in distress. I want you to go to him immediately. He must be surrounded by Rakshasas and his life must be in danger. Otherwise, he would never have cried out like that. Don't hesitate a moment. Hurry to his assistance. Lakshman did not move an inch from his place. Sita was trembling with fear and anger and begged him repeatedly to go. Lakshman did not know what to do. At last he said, "Oh Sita, don't you know that Rama is invincible in battle? Have you no faith? He will be back soon, I assure you." The voice we heard was not his. "Rama has asked me to stay by your side and guard you. I cannot disobey him. It would be very dangerous to leave you alone here at this moment. I feel that there is some danger lurking here." Rama felt it too. That is why he made me promise to stay with you, no matter what happened. Sita was furious with him. Her fear had made her lose all sense. She rushed out of the ashram and said, "If you don't go, I will." Lakshman jumped up and caught her as she was running out. Her unreasonable fear for her husband made her speak in the most unbecoming way to Lakshman. Poor girl, driven by destiny. She spoke, "You hope that if Rama dies, you can have me for yourself. But let me tell you once and for all that I will kill myself here and now if you do not go immediately. I will not let you touch me." Lakshman was in disgust when he heard these cruel words from the gentle Sita. He stood with folded palms before her and said, "Sita, you are like a goddess to me, and I refuse to be angry with you for what you are saying. I have never heard you talk like this. I will go after my brother, but I fear that something is threatening you. Please don't force me to go." Again, Sita swore to kill herself if he did not go. Lakshman was in a panic. He didn't know what to do. At last, with tears in his eyes, he said, "All right, I will go. But first I will draw this magic circle around you. Please see that you do not step out of it. As long as you remain within it, you will be safe. I go with the greatest reluctance. My brother is sure to be most displeased with me. But it looks as if I cannot please both of you at the same time." So saying, he took the tip of his bow and made an enchanted circle around Sita with mantras. He bowed to her and walked away with unwilling steps. All Sita could say was, "Go, Chalo, go." Reluctantly, poor Lakshman walked away from the ashram with slow, unhappy steps. Ravana had been hiding close by, waiting for Lakshman to go. He was anxiously watching, and there was no time to be lost. He had to capture her and leave before Rama returned. He had no desire to have a close encounter with Rama at this moment. As soon as he heard Maricha's voice, he knew that his uncle had died, but he felt no remorse at all for having sent him to his death. Maricha had served his purpose, and that was all. Ravana had a few anxious moments until he saw Lakshman leave. Then he changed quickly into the garments of a sannyas, a renunciant. His hair was matted and he wore orange-colored robes. He wore wooden sandals and held a staff in one hand and a water pot in the other, and walked with eager steps towards the ashram. Ravana couldn't afford to step inside the magic circle made by Lakshman, so he stood outside and shouted out, "Bhiksham Dehi! Bhiksham Dehi!" which was the normal call for money, for alms, made by all sannyasis. Timidly, Sita came to the door of the ashram and looked out. Ravana gave a gasp of pure delight. He had captured many of the most beautiful women in the world, but never had he come across any woman as lovely as this one. She stood framed in the doorway, eyes wide open, her complexion golden, and her lips soft and red. She was so bewitching that Ravana couldn't move or speak. He knew that she was the most beautiful woman he had ever seen, and his hunger to possess her became an urgent need. Controlling himself with the greatest difficulty, he chanted some Vedic mantras. His green eyes shooting flames of desire, he said, "Oh, beautiful one, who are you who lives alone in this forest? This is not a fitting place for you. Who has abandoned you in this dreadful forest, infested with rakshasas and wild beasts?" Sita was beside herself with anxiety about Rama and kept watching the little path to see if he was coming. But at the same time, she could not afford to neglect this holy man. So she said, "I am the daughter of Janaka, king of Mithila, and the wife of Rama, son of Dasarath. I have come to this forest with my husband, who has been banished for 14 years from his kingdom. His brother Lakshman has also come with him. At the moment, he has gone with his brother to capture a deer which I desired. If you like, you are welcome to wait for his return. You may sit outside this circle, for no one can enter it. However, I will bring you some food." So saying, she went inside. She returned with water to wash his feet, as well as a seat for him to sit and some refreshments. It was the custom to honor a sannyas in this fashion. She was not suspicious of the character of the person who stood before her, so she innocently came out of the magic circle. Ravana did not have much time to waste on civilities, so he immediately stated his purpose in coming there. "O princess," he said, "you must have heard of the king of the Rakshasas, called Ravana. His very name strikes terror in the hearts of all. Well, I am he. Ever since I heard about your beauty, I have not been able to think of anything else. Now that I have seen you, I am filled with delight. You have captivated me, and I don't want any other woman but you. Come with me, and I'll make you my foremost queen. My city is called Lanka, and it is situated on an island. It is the most beautiful city in the world. You can have the most wonderful palace for your own, and wander about in lovely gardens instead of this terrible forest. Cast away this miserable life, and come away with me, and be my queen." Sita was furious when she heard these despicable words coming from the lips of a man whom she thought was holy. At first, it didn't occur to her to be frightened. With flaming eyes and scornful look, she said, "Listen to me, O wretch. Do you really think I will leave my husband and go with you? How dare you talk to me like this? What do I care for your name and fame and wealth? Give up these sinful thoughts and go away fast, before my noble husband returns and kills you." Though she spoke boldly, her mind was suddenly filled with fear, for she realized her state of utter helplessness. She was alone and at the mercy of this man. Ravana saw her trembling. "Ah, Sita," he said, "you don't understand what a great person I am. There is nothing that I cannot do. I have conquered all the three worlds. Even the gods bow to me. I have a fantastic chariot which can fly in the air. I can take you over land and sea and show you wonders you have never dreamed of. What can Rama do? He was banished to the forest by his father and did not have the guts to go against his stepmother. You are too beautiful to be wasted on such a coward. Come with me and live a life of pleasure in my city. I will shower you with whatever you desire." Sita replied hotly, "If you touch me, you will not be able to live. You are putting your head into a noose. Depart from here this instant if you value your life." Ravana was now slowly losing his temper. He had thought to make an easy conquest, but time was running out. He shed his disguise and stood in all his Rakshasa glory before her eyes, 10 heads and all. Sita was terrified to see him in this Rakshasa form, but she did her best to hide her fear. She cursed herself for not having listened to Lakshman and stayed within the circle. She knew that if she could only get back into the magic circle, she would be safe. Slowly, she started backing her way towards it. If she tried to turn and run, he would surely catch her. So she tried to inch her way back unnoticed. Suddenly, Ravana realized what she was up to, and before she could reach the edge and save herself, he lunged at her and dragged her back. Catching her long hair with his left hand, he placed his right hand under her thighs and lifted her up and put her on his shoulders. His aerial vehicle now appeared like magic on the lawn. He got into it and placed Sita on his lap. The entire forest held its breath in fear. It was as if all of nature were appalled by the immensity of the crime which was being committed. The trees moaned in agony. The birds shrieked and flew back and forth. Sita struggled and tried her best to wriggle out of his grasp, but he only tightened his hold. She screamed, "Rama, Rama, save me, save me." But Rama did not hear. She was like one demented. Again and again she cried out, "Oh Rama, Lakshman, this evil Rakshasa is carrying me away by force. Save me, save me." The chariot was swiftly rising from the ground. She saw the trees she loved and the forest where she had roamed with her beloved. She made piteous appeals to the flowers and the birds to save her, and cursed Ravana for his folly. As the chariot was speeding on its way, Sita suddenly saw their good friend Jatayu perched on a tree. Unfortunately, he had not witnessed all that had taken place, for he had tucked his head into his feathers and gone to sleep. As soon as Sita saw him, she cried out, "This Rakshasa is carrying me away by force. Please tell Rama." Jatayu woke up from his slumber at her cry. He flew beside the chariot and tried to reason with the Rakshasa king. "Oh Ravana," he said, "what are you doing? Rama has not wronged you in any way. Give up this madness, or you will regret it. Even though I am old and unarmed, rest assured that I will not let you take her away. If you persist in this stupidity, you will have to fight with me first." Ravana had hardly expected an obstacle from this direction. He was furious with the bird. Jatayu ripped apart the magic asses which were yoked to the chariot, and the chariot itself fell to the ground and was smashed. Jatayu shrieked the war cry of the eagles and swooped down on Ravana, ripping his chest with his beak. His strength and heroism was amazing. As the chariot fell to the ground, Ravana kept a firm grip on Sita. The Rakshasa had the power to fly, and so the demon king rose up into the air with Sita in his arms. Jatayu followed him, But by now the old bird was tired and weak. Still he went after Ravana and pierced him with his beak again and again till he was forced to land on the ground. Ravana was getting desperate now. At last he took up his sword and sliced off both Jatayu's wings. Jatayu fell to the ground with a shriek. Sita wept in horror at the gory fate of her friend. She shook off Ravana's hold and ran to the bird and gathered him up in her arms and wept for him. Ravana pulled her up roughly and, placing her on his thigh, he rose up into the sky once again. Again and again Sita called out, "Rama, oh Rama, where are you? Can you not hear me?" As Ravana rose into the sky, the sun hid behind clouds, as if he didn't want to be a witness to this outrage. The wind moaned and groaned, and there was a hush of sadness in the air. Again and again Sita begged Ravana to let her go, but he only tightened his hold. He was feeling very happy that at last he had got her. He did not realize that he was holding his own death in his arms. He moved swiftly through the skies. Suddenly, when she looked down, she saw 5 monkeys sitting on top of a mountain. Though she did not know it, this was her first glimpse of Hanuman, who was destined to play such a vital role in her life. She was struck by an idea. Tearing off a piece of her upper garment, she took off a few of her ornaments and tied them up in a little piece of cloth and threw it towards the monkeys, hoping that someday Rama would pass by and recognize the jewels. Ravana, who was sailing along happily, did not notice what was going on. The monkeys looked up to see a beautiful woman being carried in the arms of the Rakshasa. She was crying out, "Oh Rama, oh Lakshman," in a desperate voice. Very soon they came to the south. It was her first sight of the sea, but she was in no mood to enjoy anything. Ravana tightened his hold, for he felt her struggling to get free and feared that she would jump into the foaming waters below. Soon they reached the fabulous city of Lanka, where he took her to his own private quarters and set a number of women to guard her. He told them to give her anything she asked for, whether it was jewels or clothing or delicious food. Whatever she asks for should be provided immediately, he said. Ravana heaved a sigh of relief and pleasure. He had punished Rama and gotten for himself the most beautiful woman in all the 3 worlds. He lay on his silken couch and pictured all the delights which were in store for him once Sita agreed to be his wife. Ravana couldn't lie down for long. Sita's charming face kept flashing through his mind, and he decided to go and talk to her once again. He had known many women, and though some of them had objected in the beginning, Not one had had the guts to refuse him for long. He was sure that Sita would be no exception. His passion was like a fire burning him up. He went to the room in which he had been imprisoned. She was sitting on the ground with Rakshasis all around her. Her tear-stained face was cast down. He was determined to impress her somehow, so he started by telling her of the beauties of his palace. "Look, O beautiful one, at the glories of this city of Lanka. The palace is made of gold. There are gardens filled with flowers and lakes. There is no comparison between my wealth and Rama's. He will never be able to come here and take you away. Don't waste your youth pining for him. Accept my love, and I can take you wherever you wish, give you whatever you want. Be my queen, and I'll lay the whole world at your feet." Sita covered her face and cried as if her heart would break. Ravana looked at her and said, "Do not cry like this. What have you to cry for? Have I not said that I'd give the whole world to you? Not only that, I am ready to lay all my 10 heads at your feet. Do you realize what that means? I am your slave. Come, accept me and agree to my wishes." At the end of this declaration of love, Sita looked up with flashing eyes and said, "You do not know my Rama, and that is why you dare to say such things. He is the image of Dharma. He is truth incarnate. I love him with my whole life. You have dared to touch me, his wife, and he will never forgive you for that. He will never spare you. He and his noble brother Lakshman will come here and slay you. Have no doubt about that. You call yourself brave, yet to me you are a coward. You stole me away from my husband by luring him into the forest. You were too frightened to come face to face with him. You are not only a coward, but also a thief. But beware, your end is nearing." Ravana was furious at these words. "Enough," he shouted. "I will give you 12 months to change your mind. If within that time you agree to my proposal, you will become queen of the world. Otherwise, your delicate flesh shall be carved and dressed for my morning meal." With this, he stormed out of the room, giving orders that Sita should be kept in the grove of Ashoka trees, with a strict guard, night and day. So Ravana gives Sita 12 months to change her mind. If she agrees, she becomes queen of the world, and otherwise he will have her for breakfast. So far the reading for tonight. I hope to see you again tomorrow, or maybe not see you, strange to say that. Listen for the last few minutes to Ragopati. Thank you for listening, and tune in again tomorrow at 9 o'clock to hear how it continues. Sweet dreams, everyone. May all be healthy, happy, and safe. Om Shanti.